The Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association presents Freshman Focus, a look at 2-year-olds in training across the Buckeye State. Freshman Focus is presented by Sugar Valley Farm. Looking for your next quality standard-bred racehorse? Look no further than Sugar Valley Farm in Delaware, Ohio. And by Eldorado Scioto Downs. Racing begins May 4th, with the next generation scheduled for July 2nd and 3rd. Now, here's your host, OHHA brand ambassador, Roger Houston.
Welcome to another edition of Freshman Focus, traveling the Buckeye State and checking on with a lot of our Ohio trainers to just see what kind of 2-year-olds they got for the upcoming racing season. Today we're in Delaware, Ohio, and our Freshman Focus is on the Ron Steck Racing Stable. Ron, welcome to the broadcast today, and we'll start out. Have you always been involved in harness racing throughout your life?
Well, I started when I was a sophomore in high school, and I had riding horses for a while, and then I moved on to the miniature standardbreds. And then after the miniature standardbreds, I started into the harness horse, the bigger ones. And
what was the big draw for working with horses?
I just loved the horses. I mean, and then I got to where it come to be I like to compete. Mm-hmm. So then when I met John Schultz, then I just loved it. So I just kept going, and here we are today.
Is it harder for a person to start harness racing from the get-go than somebody that lived with us with past generations?
Yeah, it was hard, just because I didn't know a lot about them, but he taught me a lot and give me my shot of driving and all that stuff, and it's been a fun ride.
You still drive occasionally, but are you backing off a bit to become a full-time trainer?
Yeah, I mean, I miss it a lot, but it's a game that there's some older fellows that still do it, but it's just it's a game for young guys, and I do miss it a lot, though. I mean, that's why I drive a lot of my own trotters, at the fairs and stuff like that. But it's just not as easy as it was when I was younger.
How big a stable do you have this year?
We have about 32 or 33.
And how many of those would be 2-year-olds?
18.
Is that a good number for Ron Steck, or is it a little high or a little low?
Well, I haven't had that many 2-year-olds for quite a while, but it's all right. I mean, we got a nice group.
Now, of the 18 that you've got, how many did you go to the sales and buy, or do you have some homebreds here?
I have just a couple homebreds, and all the rest of them come from the sales.
Go on to the sales all over Ohio and everywhere. Where does the process begin for getting your stable together?
Well, we start out with the catalogs, and then we study crosses, what works, what don't work, and then from that we go on with how their conformation and things like that are, sizes, things like that, and then if you can afford them after that.
That's the bottom line. Do you have your partnerships established before you buy a yearling?
Yeah, we do. We have a stable, it's called Here's to Us, and it's fractional ownerships. And so we've had a lot of people that started out with just 3 or 4 or 5 people, and now it's up to 30 or 40 people. And
we have a number of breeding farms right here in the area. Do you try to go to the farms and take a look at their yearlings before the sale?
Sometimes we do, yeah. We go to Sugar Valley, every year, and we look at some of theirs. And but I don't travel to a lot of farms. We do that mostly, the day before the sale or the day of the sale, looking at them.
Price tag. You put a limit to where you're going to go on a various 2-year-old?
We do. We try to. Sometimes that gets depending on how bad you really want that individual horse or whatever. But yeah, we put a number on each one we look at. And then if it's, crazy over that, then we don't. But if it's a couple thousand or 5, we really want it, we'll do that.
Do those co-partners of yours that you've arranged on the horse, are they usually at the sale, or are you on your own?
Nope, most of them go. They like to be involved in the buying and looking at them and stuff. But we do have some that don't, that just trust us to do the work.
As far as trotters and pacers, I know you like trotters, but what about your 2-year-olds? How do they break down?
Well, we're about 50-50 this year. We bought a few more trotters than we have in the past. So, but I do like the trotters. They're a little different. They're not as bad nowadays as they used to be. They're pretty talented now. So,
one thing I'm hearing more and more when I talk to various trainers, they actually don't break the yearlings themselves. They send them to the Amish.
We do. We send them all to the Amish. I mean, we every one of them in here was broke at the Amish, and I sent them up in groups of 7, and they got them going, and they do a great job. Henry Burkholder is actually the one that breaks my horses for me.
Now, do they go basically through the same process that other trainers that break their horses? Is it basically the same process, or do the Amish do it differently?
No, it's pretty much the same. They put the harness on them for a few days, line drive them, hook them, and they just it's an open area up there where they break them, and here it gets a little busy around here, and breaking yearlings at the fairgrounds in Delaware can be a little sketchy at times.
You point your 2-year-olds for a certain part of the year, like the 1st of June or something, to get them to the qualifiers?
Yeah, we qualify here twice. The last 5 years, or 3 or 4 or 5 years, we have had our own qualifiers here for our 2-year-olds, and it makes it really nice. Me, Brian Brown, Ron Potter, Tim Lane, all of us just pitch in and pay for the judges and everything, starting gates, and it makes our job a lot easier trying to, instead of shipping 20 head to Scioto Downs to qualify, we get to do it right here. I think the tracks like that too, because it eases their deal up. When we used to go to Scioto Downs and be 35 qualifiers in one day. Well, now it's not that bad.
Some trainers drop them right into the stake races. Do you like to get a start under their belt before the races? I
do. I mean, I catch a little bit of grief from my wife a lot because she says I'm too easy on them sometimes. I don't. I won't dump them in if I don't think they're ready. Some people do it and get away with it, but I own a lot of my horses, so I try to look out for the best for the horse.
At the fairs we see sometimes horses making their first start even without a qualifying mile or something. Have you ever done that?
Oh, I have. I did that a lot, but, being here, we train with a lot of horses, and, we have our own starting gate if we need to gate school them, things like that. I have done that a lot, but it's really not just their first time they're going to be in a field of horses, I mean, they did that, so they know what's going on.
When you train your 2-year-olds, do you train them in sets?
We at least go with 3, which that's what I have is 3 riders. So we try to train them, and my nephew, Hunter Steck, he's our 4th guy. So if we get, we can go in 4s if we need be, but usually we try to keep them in at least 3.
And the purpose of training in sets?
Just to teach them to pass, set behind a horse.
So you don't race Indian file, straight alignment until the home stretch?
No, we do a lot of passing, especially in the slower miles. Now, when they get going faster, it's not quite as you just pull at the head of the stretch and go.
And I would guess in those training sets, you want to be very close to being like race conditions so that the horses can learn with it.
Absolutely, yep. They got to be right up tight to each other, and when you pull, it's time to go. They learn that real quick. I mean, they even at a slower speeds, when you pull out, you got to make them get by, and they learn real quick about that.
Ron, we'd like to thank you for sitting down with us and giving us your thoughts on breaking and training young horses and getting them to the races here in the Steck stable. Delaware, Ohio, the county fairgrounds, the home of the Little Brown Jug. We'll be back in just a few moments to take a closer look of the 2-year-olds in the Steck operation.
Racing returns to Eldorado Scioto Downs on May 4th. Catch the excitement all summer long, Tuesday through Saturday nights. First post time is 6:15. Mark your calendars to see the future stars with the $150,000 Next Generation on July 2nd and 3rd. On the 2nd, it's the 2-year-old Trotters, followed by the Pacers on the 3rd. Horse players earn points with the new Caesars Reward Program. Eldorado Scioto Downs Racing returns May 4th.
Looking for your next quality standardbred racehorse? Look no further than Sugar Valley Farm in Delaware, Ohio. Sugar Valley's lineup of stallions includes World Champion, Down by the Seaside, Lather Up, the fastest horse in harness racing history, Little Brown Jug Champion and Dan Patch Pacer of the Year, Well Said, Adios and Little Brown Jug Elimination winner Catch the Fire, and the newest addition to the lineup, Marseille. Sugar Valley Farm, the home of champions.
Welcome back to the Ron Steck stable here at Delaware as we're going to take a look at some of his 2-year-olds. Fear the Rockette, I would guess a Fear the Dragon.
Fear the Dragon filly, yep. She actually is a sister to Johnny Rockette and a couple other colts that I've had out of that same mare. This mare's had 4 babies, her mommy, and I've owned all 4 of them.
Do you find that they're basically the same? Do they have traits that carry from one to the other?
They do. They do. They just jump and play a lot when you're going out of here and stuff. But she was a filly that I wasn't real crazy about at the beginning. I didn't even look at her at the sale. And I walked into the ring and she was at $3,000. I threw my hand up. I ended up buying her for $7,000. Pleasant surprise. She's a really nice filly. I like her a lot.
This is What the Chapter out of, I guess, What the Hill.
Yep, she is. She actually come from Lexington, Sugar Valley Farms. She's a sister to Chapter 7. And Joey McLeod come to me at Lexington sale and asked me to look at her. And they kind of, hope she's a good 2- and 3-year-old for us. I actually own a piece of her too. And she costs $55,000. In the future, they hope that they have a broodmare prospect, but we hope to make money between now and then.
Does the price tag always carry over to the way they are on the racetrack?
No, it does not. But she is a nice filly, trots very well. So we'll see what happens.
Seaside Art, and I would guess down by the seaside.
He is. He's a down by the seaside colt. Actually, I own him with a lot of partners, and Leanne Davenport owns part of him. And his nickname is Nelson, after her father.
I understand that.
So, yeah, he's been a little bit of a chore. He wasn't very good gaited getting started. And this is actually the only seaside that I come up with at the sale. They was very expensive.
That's what they said about almost all of them. They had a certain price they started at.
Yeah, and but he's coming around. He's not a great big colt, but good bodied. We've done some shoeing changes on him also, and he actually trained really good the other day.
This is Napa Graham. Trotter or Pacer?
This is a trotter. She's a creatine. She actually come from the select sale. She was a buyback, Sugar Valley Farms. she didn't bring what they thought. So Joey bought her back, and then we're in training. She's okay. She's got a little bit of conformation issues, but she can trot pretty well. Big filly. I love the creatines. This is the first year that I've had any of them, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that may be the first year they're Ohio eligibles. I think they were New York or Jersey. I think New York, but a nice filly. Had some interference issues with her, but we've done a lot of shoeing changes on her, and she seems to be coming around.
This is Gemstone Ruby Rose. You've got a lot of fillies in this operation.
Yeah, we ended up with quite a few fillies. Just kind of how it ended up, but that's okay. I mean, we usually get along pretty good with fillies. So we'll see. This filly is a EL Rocket, which this is one of the only ones in the barn that I don't own a piece of. Teresa Maddox owns her, and she raised her.
Now that name sounds familiar. Trot and Pace Marketing.
Absolutely, yep. So she, called me this year, and I think she got to see quite a few of our horses race around some of the fairs, and she asked me if I'd take her for her, and here she is.
This is If Wishes Were Dreams, and a lot of times that's a very cute name, but hopefully it's a good dream and not a nightmare.
Well, that's what we can hope. She is a Wishing Stone filly. She come from the select sale. I had a decent Wishing Stone filly last year, and she reminds me a lot of her. We'll see how it goes. Very talented. The Wishing Stones are a little tough. They're a little strong-mouthed. But so far so good. We'll just wait and see how it comes.
Living up to her name, she's back in black. She sure is black.
Yeah, she is. This is actually a Woodstock filly. We bought her at the late sale also. We all are partnerships owner. She's out of a pretty good mare, and the Woodstocks, there hasn't been a lot of them, but this filly's are really good gaited and got a great attitude. So we'll see how it develops.
Is there much difference between the select sale and the late sale at Springfield and such, or just a choice of where they want to sell?
Well, the select sale, they have a group that goes around and picks them out. There's been a lot of them that's come out of Springfield that's been very good horses.
Yeah.
But they might have a flaw or something that they don't want to put them in the select, or a lot of people just choose to be the
it doesn't always mean that the best ones are in the select sale.
Absolutely not. We've had a lot of them that's come out of, even here at the Delaware sale that we've bought, and it's been just fine. Yeah. But this filly's okay. I mean, she likes it, and
she looks to be about the biggest filly that you've got.
She is. She is big and very good gaited filly. So we'll see how we get along.
Rockin' Sweet.
This actually is a pet rock colt. He's owned by Barb Miller from Kentucky. I've trained some horses for Barb, and she actually was one that I don't own any of this colt. She called me kind of late this year and wanted to know if I'd take him for her, and very good made colt, big colt, and he's another colt that's very talented. I like this colt a lot too.
The Beast of Delaware. Oh, what a name for a racehorse.
Yeah.
The race at Delaware during Jug Week.
That's our plans. But he's a creatine colt. Fred Reed actually owns this horse too. I really, really like this colt a lot. He's a little warm. He wears an ear hood. His mommy was a little crazy, they tell me. I didn't train his mother, but they say she was very hot, and this colt is a little that way too, but very, very talented colt.
What's the difference between warm and hot?
Well, I can just tell you, you take the ear hood off of him, you've got problems. I mean, and it happened to me one time, and I nearly not made it back in here. But we just leave that on, and it just calms him down. He doesn't like noise, things like that. But this colt is very, very nice.
Is he one that does what you want him to do, or has he got a mind of his own?
Nope, he does. As long as you keep him calm, he'll trot all day. He's I just, like I say, I don't. He was actually raised at Sugar Valley Farms. That's where they have their broodmare at, and very, nice made colt, big colt, trots clean. I think if everything goes well and stays sound, we will see him this year.
Barefoot in Barcelona. That's a cute name, at least.
Yeah, this is one that my wife and daughter named. Actually is owned by my son Ranger. He owns her by himself. So,
the family horse.
This is a family horse. She's a Western vintage out of a mare that we have, a Noble Land Sam mare. She's not a real big filly, but got a lot of fight to her. She likes to do her work a lot, and we'll see. Hopefully she can make Ranger a little money and buy him a car.
This is Ice Bar, and you had Dive Bar and now Ice Bar. Are they related in any way?
Well, they actually are both well sets. This colt, I found him at the late sale we had in Ohio, and I love the well sets. They've been good to me, and this is another colt that I really like. I mean, he's a big, stout colt, good gaited, a little ornery. This colt here, you got to watch him. He's very aggressive, but so far so good.
You mentioned big, and he is big. Is there certain problems you have when a horse is big and growthy like this?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, anymore, this state is very tough. I mean, these things has got to be rugged. I mean, and the smaller horses, I'm not saying they can't do it, but when you're going, and these 2-year-olds has got to, go fast anymore, and we try to buy them, a little bit more rugged than we have in the past.
$54K. Are they referring to the price tag?
Well, actually, he's a homebred. I trained his mother, and he is a Sebastian K, which he's the only PA bred we have in the barn. Very, very nice colt. I had his brother last year. I think he went in 55 and a piece, and this colt is big, and he trots really nice. Got a lot of hopes for him, but we'll see how it goes. He may be one that we get ready and send to somebody at the Meadows or somebody in PA. We'll just see how it goes, but very nice colt.
This one is Magnolia, and must be a filly.
This is a filly by McCardle. She actually, again, come from the Springfield sale. My daughter kind of picked her out, and we've had a little bit of trouble with getting her gaited. McCardles have been a little known that way, so we've made some adjustments on her hobbles and everything, and she actually trained really good the last time too. She wants to do it. It was just a matter of getting her set up a little bit.
Wishing Max. Now this is an interesting story, how you acquired this one.
Yeah, we was sent our horses to the Amish to get broke, and Henry Burkholder asked me to look at this colt for him, and so he got him out, and I really liked him, and so they turned him into paddock, and he just went across the paddock trot very nice. So the next time we went up, I took my wife with me and showed her to him and to her, and we ended up buying him at the Springfield sale, and he's probably one of my better trotting colts.
The possibility exists if Henry hadn't have showed him at the farm to you before the sale, you might not even take a look at him.
Might not have. I might not have because, and actually Henry stayed in with me. He owns a quarter of this colt with us, and but he's a very nice colt, and he loves to. He's a little spoiled. The girls feed him a lot of treats, but he's okay. He's very nice.
Wishing Stone. This is Big Money Mist, and by the name, I can't tell you the breeding.
She is a Western Terrier, and she's actually another one that Fred Reed owns. I really like the Western Terriers. I've had a few of them through the years. They're very tough, and she's one of them. She's again, she likes to do her work, and she's not a great big filly, but she's very good gaited. She's another one that I really like a lot too.
In the training process, is there a big difference from training fillies to colts?
Yeah, there is. The fillies can be a little more temperamental, a little sassy. But so far this year, we've got a nice group of fillies that is willing to do their work, but like I say, these Western Terriers, you got to be a little careful with them too. But they're so far so good with this one. We'll just wait and see.
Well, that wraps up this edition of Freshman Focus here at the Ron Steck Stable at the Delaware County Fairgrounds. Hope you'll join us again next week for another edition of Freshman Focus.
This has been Freshman Focus, a look at 2-year-olds in training across the Buckeye State. Freshman Focus is presented by Sugar Valley Farm. Looking for your next quality standardbred racehorse? Look no further than Sugar Valley Farm in Delaware, Ohio. And by Eldorado Scioto Downs. Racing begins May 4th, with the next generation scheduled for July 2nd and 3rd. Freshman Focus is a presentation of the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association.